a world where the number of movies available is great, but many are so bad. You'll learn a new definition of hate. One man sifts and reviews through the movie sludge. One man will be the movie cop, jury, and judge. He goes by many names, but you know him by Movies Merica.
Gather round, lords and ladies, boys and girls. Do you know what today is? Why, it's the 50th episode of Movies Merica. Yes, you are here to witness this special spectacle. And in commemoration of this event, I will be beginning my reviews of the one trilogy to rule them all. We are starting with Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring today. Welcome and witness. Roll that intro. Hey, all you beautiful movie-loving people out there, live from a red carpet somewhere, surrounded by celebrities. This is the Movies Merica podcast with Van Ebert, where movie reviews meet cold brews. Van will review your favorite and maybe not so favorite movies while enjoying some ice-cold beers and saying cheers. Now let's head into the theater and join our illustrious movie reviewer du jour, who's no doubt got the beer ready to pour, Van Ebert. Hey, everybody. All right. Hey, once again, welcome to this 50th episode of Movies Merica. Yes, it's a joyous celebration. And celebration it is indeed. So come on in and celebrate with me. Absolutely. So, and I know earlier I said that I was going to be reviewing the one trilogy to rule them all. I actually won't be reviewing them because we're way past reviewing those. These movies have been out for quite a while. So this is actually going to be more of a revisiting of the one trilogy to rule them all. That's right. I'm going to be starting out with the Fellowship of the Ring this week, then doing the Two Towers next week, and then finally the Oscar-winning Best Picture, Return of the King. I will be doing that the week after that. So it is definitely a slow movie season here, with just this time of year, it being this time of year as far as cinematic releases. And also I just wanted to do this because we have Amazon's Rings of Power TV series out, and you know what? Decide for yourself whether or not you like that show or not. I will leave that up to you. But I wanted to harken back to the Lord of the Rings material that I like, and that is Peter Jackson's trilogy to rule them all. Absolutely. So, without further ado, hey, let's check out the classic trailer for Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring.
In the lands of Middle-earth, legend tells of the Dark Lord Sauron and the ring that would give him the power to enslave the world. Lost for centuries, it has been sought by many and has now found its way into the hands of the most unlikely person imaginable. Sauron needs only this ring to cover all the lands in darkness.
What must I do?
The ring must be destroyed.
The ring must be cast back into the fires of Mount Doom.
There is evil there that does not sleep.
Sauron's forces are already moving. They will find the ring and kill the one who carries it.
No! Frodo! Come on, Frodo!
I cannot do this alone.
You have my sword.
And you have my bow.
And my axe.
This task was appointed to you, and if you do not find a way, no one will.
The enemy has many spies. Birds, beasts.
Something draws near. I can feel it. Get off the road! Hide!
Always remember, Frodo, the ring is trying to get back to its master. It wants to be found. Let us hope that our presence may go unnoticed. They are coming.
We must stand back! Wish the ring had never come to me. Back, you devils! Wish none of this had happened.
You will find your courage.
If you want him, come and claim him.
One does not simply make a Lord of the Rings revisiting without playing the trailer. Yes, indeed, yes. That was my attempt at a Boromir impression. Yeah, I think I failed royally on that. But anyway, so, hey, before we get into the my favorite part of our episode here today, just wanted to let you know that, of course, these episodes are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and many other platforms. And then also, if you're on Apple Podcasts, zip on down to the very bottom of the episodes there if you would. And yeah, feel free to give it a 5-star rating way down there at the bottom. And then also there's a write a review button you can click on to do exactly that. Write a review if you want. So, and then if you go all the way to the very up to the very top there again, if you see the ellipsis, the 3 dots, you can click on that and choose follow the show. That'll just automatically download all the episodes for you, make life a little easier for you. Yeah, you bet. And then all the episodes are on moviesmerica.com as well. And then also, I am on this thing you may have heard of called social media. Yeah, it's a newfangled contraption that they just invented. And so that is where I'm on Twitter and Instagram under Movies Merica, of course. Also have a Movies Merica Facebook page. And yeah, so you are not hurting for ways to reach out to me to, give me any tips or things that you feel that I could do to make this more entertaining for you, or that would make you more likely to listen. Or if you just want to tell me, give me a compliment or give me an insult or, suggest a movie that you'd like me to review, I am all ears, absolutely. So, all right. And so if it seems like I'm rushing here through this here, it is intentional. It's because I really want to get. I can't wait to talk about the Fellowship of the Rings. I love J.R.R. Tolkien and Peter Jackson. So anyway, hey, before we get into that though, again, this is the home of movie reviews meeting ice cold brews, and tonight's ice cold brew is a beer that has like an orc-like face on the beer on the can. It's a Stone IPA, so it's more like a demon, but it kind of looks like an orc from the Lord of the Rings movies. So that is why I chose that for the brew today. So this is a Stone IPA. All right. And so I am going to raise a beer can toast to myself and drink before we get into this episode further. Just like some Shire Ale, yes. All right, so, hey, now, just to let you know, this review, I was inspired also partly because I just got the extended versions of all these movies on 4K, and so I've been watching those, and then on top of that, like I said earlier, Amazon came out with their Rings of Power series. And I've heard kind of lackluster reviews on that, and so I wanted to call attention again and just remind people out there that there is a tried and true, there is a well-tested Lord of the Rings, trilogy out there. Now I know Rings of Power isn't trying to cover the same thing as the Lord of the Rings did, because Amazon doesn't have the rights to that part of J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. Lore, or IP. So, yeah, obviously, the Lord of the Rings movies here cover something different, but they are, from what I hear from anybody that's watched The Rings of Power, they are the superior adaptation of J.R.R. Tolkien's work here. So, but yeah, so let's get right into it, okay? So, I mean, Peter Jackson just hits the right notes with this trilogy. He just gives it that regalness, It gives it that epic feel, the epic nature of it. I mean, because the books, when you read them, I mean, they just feel so deep and rich and robust, and there's just so much to it. There's just so many worlds and so many characters, so many situations. And it just makes it easy to immerse yourself in this world of Middle-earth, in Gondor and Rohan and Mordor and the Shire and all these worlds, all these characters, and Peter Jackson shows his great love. I mean, he shows that he really loves J.R.R. Tolkien in The Lord of the Rings here, and then later on with The Hobbit. But yeah, it's so let's get right into it. Okay, so with the extended versions, you do get obviously some additional scenes, hence the extended version title. And some of my favorites are like Bilbo has a prologue, at the beginning of this Fellowship of the Ring, just providing more backstory about the Shire and the hobbits in general. I really liked that. I enjoyed getting more information about that. Frodo and Sam, after they've left the Shire and they're trying to make for the village of Bree, they're hiding in the woods from the ring wraiths or the Nazgul, and they hear some singing in the distance. And Frodo says, "Sam, wood elves." So they spot this party of wood elves just trekking through the forest, heading to to their destination, and they're leaving Middle Earth. And then also I do like the scene where Aragorn is in Rivendell, and he is just brushing away the leaves and the branches, just cleaning up the statue of his mother that they have there in Rivendell, because she brought him to Rivendell as a child to keep him safe. And so I thought that was a tender moment, a tender extra moment that you get in the extended versions, and I highly recommend it. If I personally, I prefer the extended versions to the theatrical versions. You just get so much more. I mean, I know there's a lot of movies where the extended versions have a lot of scenes where you can tell why they didn't have the scenes, why they didn't leave the scenes in the movies. The extended versions are not like that at all for The Lord of the Rings. There's a lot of scenes with extended versions where like, man, this is just adding more and more to what I like about this trilogy. So, yeah, I would definitely extend. Don't bother with buying the theatrical versions. I would definitely buy the extended versions, or if you just watch them, just watch the extended versions. Believe me, you will not be disappointed. So, but yeah, so then as you know from watching the movie. It starts out with Bilbo and Frodo in the Shire, and then Bilbo leaves to go to Rivendell, and he leaves the Ring of Power to Frodo, and Gandalf is there to help celebrate Bilbo's birthday, and Gandalf does soon realize, okay, this is the one ring. This is the ring to rule them all. This is the ring forged by Sauron. To control men and dwarves and elves, just basically control all of Middle Earth. And so Gandalf tells Frodo, yeah, that you cannot keep the ring here in the Shire, because Gollum spilled the beans and told Sauron, the ring, it's in the Shire, and it's held by some guy named Baggins. So Gandalf tells Frodo, yeah, you definitely got to be vamoosing out of the Shire, otherwise, the Shire is just going to get blowtorched, So he leaves the Shire, and they run into Pippin and Merry, who are stealing some produce, from Farmer Maggot's crop. And then from there, they're trying to avoid the Nazgul, the ring race, the scary-looking faceless figures on horses there. And in these Nazgul, they used to be men, but then they used the rings, the 9 rings that Sauron forged, and the 9 kings put them on, and then they didn't realize, hey, there's another ring that rules these 9 rings that we just put on, so now we're slaves to Sauron, and he turned them into these Nazgul who are neither alive nor dead. And so they're hunting down Frodo and Samwise Gamgee and Pippin and Merry. And so the crew has to make it to the village of Bree. And once they get to Bree there, don't blink or you'll miss it, because there is a cameo by Peter Jackson, the directors of these movies, where he's just walking through the streets of Bree chewing on a carrot. So that is the director there, and that's in when they get to the village of Bree. And it's so then they meet as he's known, Strider or Ranger, and that's ultimately turns out to be Aragorn there at the Prancing Pony, and he soon turns out to be their protector on for the rest of the quest there. So now I'm not going to rehash the entire plot. I mean, that would just take forever, and I would just get off into so many tangents, if I did that. But I'd guarantee you, probably 9 out of 10 people that are listening to this right now, have seen the movie. If you haven't, stop listening right now, because there's going to be all kinds of spoilers. So you've been warned. So 3, 2, 1. All right, we're going to proceed on. All right. Now, one thing that I did rather enjoy in the Fellowship of the Ring, as opposed to, I guess there's a little bit of this in the Two Towers and Return of the King, but I just thought it was fun watching Merry and Pippin pretty much just live like a couple of high school dropouts, just chugging ale and smoking weed and stealing fireworks and produce. I mean, they're just living the hedonistic lifestyle. Just like without a care in the world. Just scarfing down food and just just living life, having the high life, or living the high life, I mean, so there's just pigging out and drinking ale. I mean, lembas bread, anyone? Good times had by Merry and Pippin throughout these movies here. And also, one of the other main characters in this is the evil character of Saruman the Wise. He is, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting it, he is Gandalf's boss, and Saruman is, soon reveals himself, to be one of the bad guys. He's just, he decided to give in to Sauron, because I think basically he just thinks that Sauron's gonna win, right? And or on top of that, maybe Saruman's just got a dark heart, and he's basically picking up what Sauron's putting down, basically, more than he's picking up what Gandalf is putting down. I think he just thinks like, I'm gonna get on the side. I'm gonna get on the side that's gonna win, or that I think is gonna win. And so him being the evil guy that he is, he is tasked with building an army, or extending the army that Sauron already has. So he builds up an army, there at Isengard, and as part of building up the army, Saruman's not going to be a friend of the Sierra Club anytime soon, because he proceeds to knock down all kinds of trees. He just knocks down the forest because he's got to make room for creating these soldiers, of orcs and weapons and all that. And so he just knocks down a bunch of trees. So tisk tisk, no tree hugger out of Saruman, that's for sure. So also later on in the movie, when they get to Rivendell, and they're having the Council of Elrond to forge the Fellowship of the Ring. One of my favorite moments in all of the Lord of the Rings movies is when he's got everyone, man and dwarves and elves, are all just fight with each other, because the ring is just fostering all this hostility amongst them, and they're just fighting back and forth, like what should they do with the ring. And then in the background, Frodo stands up and says, hey, that he will be the one to take the ring to Mordor. He's volunteering to take the ring to Mordor. And Peter Jackson does this extreme close-up on Gandalf's face right after Frodo says that he will take the ring to Mordor, and this close-up on Gandalf's face just shows Gandalf looking touched by Frodo's words, and I just love that shot. I just think that's just fantastic, that how Peter Jackson did that. Just one of my favorite moments in all these movies. And then also one thing that, and I'm sure that I'm not the only one that has noticed, is Pippin is just the ultimate Middle-earth pain in the ass to Gandalf. It's just, I mean, he's one of the, he's one of the two that stole fireworks at Bilbo's birthday party, stole some of Gandalf's fireworks, stole one of Gandalf's fireworks. And, then he's getting on Gandalf's nerves, when Gandalf can't figure out how to get into the Mines of Moria, can't get the door open. And then, the ultimate is, when Pippin doesn't watch what he's doing, and he basically is playing with the skeleton, there in the Mines of Moria. And he basically, just sends the skeleton and bucket, down into the well that wakes up all the orcs. In the Mines of Moria, and and Gandalf just lets him have it. So, but that's just part of how Pippin, like I said, is just the ultimate Middle-earth pain in the ass to Gandalf in this movie. So, but later on, in the movie, like the Return of the King, you see them, Pippin and Gandalf, forge a real bond there. So Pippin changes his ways and redeems himself. So, speaking of the Mines of Moria, I just think that sequence in the Fellowship of the Ring is just very captivating. Just because, in part, when they're in the Mines of Moria, they're essentially walking inside of a mountain. I mean, just you've got those big old mountains. I mean, in the Fellowship of the Ring, you see all this beautiful mountainous scenery, and they're in the middle of one of these mountains. Just going through the cool darkness of the Mines of Moria, and it's got that creepy darkness and with evil all around. You can just feel it, and just they got to take a left and take a right, and they're going up, they're going down. I mean, just this cavernous the trail through the inside of a mountain. I just personally think that's kind of cool. A lot of people might be like, what's the big deal? I think it's cool. So, but and then of course, you got a Balrog, big fiery monster, shadow and flame, all around, lurking around the whole time, along with all the orcs and stuff, chasing them down. But speaking of the Balrog, this of course is the movie where Gandalf basically goes out like a boss. Okay, he basically takes to the Balrog, and I mean, you shall not pass this moment without a tear in your eye. I mean, I challenge you to watch this scene without having at least a lump in your throat, because it definitely gets you. He's the Balrog's whip takes down Gandalf, and Gandalf falls down into the chasm, and and then Frodo and Samwise Gamgee and the rest just sad. They're just devastated that they've lost Gandalf, because they've all known Gandalf for years, right? And Gandalf is their friend. They're just like a father figure to them, and they lose him right there. So that's a tough moment. It's a tough moment. So, but as Gandalf isn't gone, forever, right? And so then after that, then they have to keep on moving, because as you remember, Aragorn's like, get them up. They can't just be sitting here, on the mountainside crying, because the mountainside's gonna be crawling with orcs, come nightfall. So they got to make their way further, and I think they make their way into the forest, like it's called Lothlorien, and that's where they meet up with the elves, and they make their way to Caris Galadon, the heart of Elvendom on Earth, and on top of that, on top of being the heart of of Elvendom on Earth, it's the coolest LED rope lighting placement I've ever seen. It just looks cool. I mean, the way that they have this elvish kingdom set up and all the cool lighting and stuff that they have in it. I mean, that's the thing about these movies, is just has some really beautiful locations. Absolutely. So, and then we meet Galadriel, the way that Tolkien wanted her portrayed, okay, in here, played by Cate Blanchett, brilliantly played by Cate Blanchett. And then also, after they leave, Karas Galadan, they soon realize that they have not lost Gollum. Gollum is like a super stalker in this because, he wants the ring, right? He wants the ring. The ring is his precious. And, they knew that Gandalf knew that they were being followed by Gollum. And then obviously, Aragorn and Boromir know that Gollum is following them as well. Because he's the one who had the ring. I mean, he found it, in a river and had it, and he started out as just a hobbit named Smeagol, and then he had the ring so long that it drove him crazy. It polluted his mind, and he basically ended up looking like a gaggly lizard, just like a really nasty, gross creature, so he feels bonded to the ring. The ring's definitely got a hold on him, and the ring left him, and then Bilbo Baggins found it, and so Gollum has been searching for it ever since, and so as part of that, he's basically stalking the Fellowship of the Ring, and so you see that as they're going down the river, and Gollum is hiding behind a floating log. And then later on in the movie from that, we see Ned Stark, Boromir. He busts out the weak sauce, and he actually tries to steal the ring from Frodo. Yeah, that's not very cool, right? Boromir, played by Sean Bean, has in the entire movie, he's just portrayed as kind of this slimy, kind of corrupt, man that is definitely not above being seduced by the Ring of Power, and that comes to a head when he tries to steal the ring from Frodo. So, but that's one thing that Frodo realizes that he has to worry about, is that this ring isn't going to hesitate for a second to try to corrupt the members of the Fellowship of the Ring. So he doesn't only have to worry about external threats from the outside. He's got to worry about threats from the inside of the Fellowship. Then later on, there's the big battle with Saruman's orc dorks. When they trek down, or when they find the Fellowship of the Ring, and you see cool moments like Legolas, played by Orlando Bloom, showing some serious mastery with his bow there. I mean, he's just letting arrows fly really fast. It's some of the coolest, bow action that I've seen in a movie. And then you got Aragorn, basically playing the weed whacker of orcs. He's taking on a bunch of orcs at the same, all by himself. I mean, so Aragorn, played by Viggo Mortensen, of course, is a complete badass, in these movies there. I mean, he starts out, it's just like a Strider, the Ranger, and then obviously his story arc, progresses and travels on from there. And obviously we'll get into that more with the Two Towers and Return of the King. But yeah, I mean, another favorite moment of mine is where Frodo has the ring, and Aragorn is coming up to him, and Frodo starts suspecting, oh man, Aragorn's going to fall to the corruption of this ring. Aragorn's about to take the ring away from me too. And Aragorn resists the call of the ring and closes Frodo's hands around the ring. And he's got one of the best lines of any of the movies, and he just says, "I would have followed you to the end," because Aragorn realizes that, Frodo's got to leave them all behind. I mean, Aragorn realizes that as long as there is anybody else in the Fellowship of the Ring that could potentially become corrupted by the ring to steal the ring from Frodo and return it to Sauron, there is no assurance of success, to get the ring into Mount Doom, to cast it, into the chasm from whence it came, to finally destroy it. And so Aragorn realized he's part of the problem. And so he's got to do the hard thing and let Frodo go. But he he says, hey, you know what? I would have followed you to the end. Great moment. You know, I just love that moment. And then you see Boromir. He totally redeems himself. I mean, he goes out, you know, and he just takes out, you know, he goes out, you know, like a boss and defends Merry and Pippin and regains his honor. What a great moment. So Boromir goes out with honor. And then, yeah, at the end, basically Frodo, you know, has a "it's not me, it's you" moment and heads out on his own and basically wants to go off by himself. And but, you know, in pure Samwise Gamgee style, Sam's like, I am not going to leave you behind, or I'm not going to let you go by yourself. I made a promise to Gandalf to never leave your side, and so Sam goes with him to Mordor, and that ends our movie before we get to the Two Towers. So, but hey, with that, yeah, look forward to the Two Towers episode next week. And again, I want to thank you for joining me with this 50th episode of Movies Merica. Okay, so and as always, all right, get out there, everybody. Those movies aren't going to watch themselves. Ciao.
Hey guys, don't leave the video quite yet. Okay, I've got a popo. They're coming after me, and I don't have much time to tell you, but you need to like and subscribe this video right here, down below. It's right down there. It's just waiting. It's waiting for you down there, okay? And make sure you watch these videos over here too. You'll be doing me a big favor. I'm gonna be in handcuffs pretty soon. All right, thanks for watching.